The morning sun streams through the tall, narrow windows of the courthouse, casting long, angled shadows across the polished wooden floor. The air is heavy with the sweet scent of old paper and polished wood, and with tension that seems to hang like a fog in the room. Kody Brown sits at the defendant's table, hands neatly folded, trying to mask a maelstrom of emotions roiling inside him. His face is calm, almost preternaturally so, but a faint tremble in his fingers gives away the anxiety pooled beneath. Across the room, Robyn clutches a folder full of notes so tightly her knuckles are white. Her eyes dart nervously toward the judge, toward Kody, toward the other sister wives, trying to work out the next move in the battle that has been years in the making. Christine leans back in her chair, arms crossed, projecting a facade of control and composure. But her sharp, narrowed eyes betray the storm brewing inside. Janelle and Meri exchange quick, uneasy glances. Neither woman wants to make the first move, but each wonders how long she can maintain her calm in this high-pressure courtroom. Every heartbeat, every shuffle of papers, every clearing of the throat seems amplified, echoing off the tall walls like a countdown to some inevitable explosion. The bailiff clears his throat as his polished shoes click across the floor to announce the entrance of the judge, whose robes flow with each step. Sudden silence descends upon the room. It is almost deafening. The tension is so high in the courtroom that it becomes physical and can be felt by all. None of them knew what to expect precisely, but all knew that today buried secrets would surface. Kody's lawyer, a sharp-eyed woman with a reputation for dismantling witnesses in seconds, rises. Her voice is smooth, authoritative, carrying just enough edge to command attention. "Your Honor," she begins, "we are ready to proceed." The first witness is called forward onto the stand. It's Robyn. She stands, making her way deliberately to the witness's stand in slow steps. Her voice shakes a little at the beginning as she starts off, but there is undeniable strength beneath that fragility. "I've tried for years to stay out of conflicts," she says, her eyes darting toward Kody, "but I can no longer remain silent. There are things happening in this family, things that have consequences for everyone." Christine leans forward, flashing her eyes. "Consequences," she snaps, the edge on her voice sharp enough to cut glass. "You mean your lies, Robyn?" Robyn hesitates, taking a deep breath. She knows that once she speaks, there's no going back. "No, Christine, not lies. Truth. The truth you've all avoided for years." The courtroom listens in stunned silence. Murmurs ripple through the gallery, journalists scribbling furiously in their notebooks. Kody's face, usually so controlled, betrays a flicker of alarm. This is more than a dispute over property or money. It's a reckoning over trust, deception, and the fragile web of relationships that has held the family together for decades. As the questioning goes on, it is here that Robyn reveals a host of emails, text messages, and recordings she has silently kept over the years. Each piece of evidence lands like a thunderclap in the courtroom. Christine's face flushes crimson with anger as she is confronted with proof of manipulations she never expected to be revealed publicly. Janelle's hands shake a little as she recounts her involvement in certain decisions, her own choices and secrets weighing heavily on her conscience. Every word spoken seems to add another layer of tension, revealing fractures in the family that no one has dared acknowledge outside the privacy of their home. Meri bites her lip, her eyes darting nervously as she works through the unfolding testimony. Should she speak now? Should she stay silent? In her mind, the decision is a tightrope walk over a chasm, with one misstep and one misplaced word promising devastating consequences. The judge cuts in, his tone serene, but not without firmness. This is a sensitive matter. Honesty and composure from all parties are expected. His gaze sweeps the courtroom, staying for a moment on each sister-wife, as if to weigh their very souls. The collective inhalation of air brings the tension down a peg, though not entirely. The storm hasn't passed yet. And then the bombshell. Robyn slides a document across the table to the clerk. Kody's eyes widen ever so slightly. He hadn't expected this to come up today. A series of financial decisions, property allocations, and personal arrangements made quietly over the years, without full disclosure to everyone concerned, is laid out on that paper. It's a roadmap of control, loyalty, and deception that threatens to upend the fragile balance Kody had been keeping in place. Christine slams her hand onto the table, the sound reverberating throughout the chamber. "You can't just drop this in here," she exclaims out loud, her voice rising with unbelief and anger. The judge raises a hand, signaling for calm, but the damage is done. A collective gasp moves through the room. The audience can feel the emotional energy crackling like static in the air. Janelle leans forward, whispering to her attorney, "This could change everything." Meri nods subtly, a mix of fear and determination crossing her face. Even Robyn, who brought the evidence forward, feels a flicker of anxiety. The courtroom is no longer just a place for legal procedure. It's a battlefield where every relationship, every alliance, and every secret is up for grabs. The questioning continues, with Kody's lawyer trying to steer the focus back to procedural details, technicalities, and minor discrepancies. But it's too late. The evidence has taken its toll, and the room is charged with tension. Murmurs in the gallery grow louder. Reporters shift in their seats, each trying to catch every nuance of facial expression, every hint of a lie, every crack in the carefully maintained facade of composure. The judge himself is even shocked, his disapproving countenance giving way occasionally to surprise or discontent. He reclines backward in his chair, steepling his fingers and exhaling slowly, preparing himself for the next wave of revelations. The testimony mounts upon testimony, emotion upon emotion, as the morning stretches out to its farthermost reaches. Kody's calm starts to fray. He fidgets in his seat, his eyes spearing each sister-wife in turn and wondering how much of this he can contain, how much can be mitigated, and what will finally slip through the cracks. The air is thick, almost suffocating, by noon in the courtroom. Christine's lips press into a thin line, eyes narrowed, her jaw tight. The hands of Janelle are clasped tightly in her lap, white-knuckled, while Meri bites the inside of her cheek, a silent battle raging between loyalty and survival. Robyn sits, chest rising and falling, absorbing the weight of her own revelations. The last testimony before lunch leaves all persons present dumbfounded. The judge orders a recess as his gavel rings through the chamber. Kody, Robyn, Christine, Janelle, and Meri exit the courtroom in silence, tension hanging over them like a cloud. Conversation is whispered. Murmurings of strategy, concern, and apprehension fill the hallways, and reporters line the front entrance, catching snatches of conversation that reveal the bedlam inside. The session ends on a strained note. The family goes their separate ways, retiring to some private nook where they will steel themselves for the next wave of battles. Behind closed doors, strategies are pondered, tempers flare, and doubts begin to seep in. Alliances start to blur. As loyalty is weighed against fear and love against survival, Kody rereads his notes obsessively, trying to predict every possible attack, while Christine rehearses her arguments, choosing carefully the words that could give her an edge. Outside, the courthouse hums with a low murmur of reporters, fans, and curious onlookers. Nobody knows what the afternoon will bring. Everyone feels the storm is far from over. And as the doors close for recess, a small flicker of fear passes through Kody's eyes, because he knows, deep down, that the rest of the day may well change the Brown family forever. The afternoon session brings the courtroom full once again. The air in the room is heavy, thick with tension, as if a tempest is ready to break. Journalists mill about the benches, pens poised over their notepads, cameras pointed, ready to catch each flicker of emotion. Kody sits erect, hands clasped together, eyes darting between his lawyer and the judge. Across the room, Christine adjusts her blazer, jaw tight, eyes sharp and calculating. Robyn sits straighter, her folder of notes ready, but there is a tremble in her hands that gives away her nervousness. Janelle and Meri sit close together, whispering softly, though no one else is able to hear them. The anticipation is almost unbearable. The bailiff calls the afternoon's first witness. Those in the gallery all lean forward. It is a family friend, one who has known them for years and has viewed their life in private. The courtroom holds its collective breath. The friend's voice is soft at first, almost hesitant, but there's a fire beneath the words, a certainty that demands attention. "I've seen the dynamics," they begin. "I've seen the lies, the manipulation, and the secrets, and I can no longer stay silent." Christine's eyes flash with anger. "You're twisting things," she exclaims, her voice a sharp blade across the room. "Everything I've done has been for the family." Robyn's lips purse into a thin line, but she sits wordlessly, allowing the witness to continue. The testimony becomes increasingly heated. Every observation, every small moment described, holds substance. Moments of favor, whispered conversations behind closed doors, secret arrangements, actions that no one outside of the family would ever envision. Every new revelation serves as a firework in the courtroom, generating whispers, gasps, and glares. Kody fidgets in his seat, a spark of unease crossing his features. The lawyer attempts to interrupt, but the judge raises his hand for silence. Each of the witnesses' words seems to fall like a hammer on stone. Christine's face reddens as evidence of manipulations, surreptitious texts, and decisions made behind closed doors is revealed. Janelle shuts her eyes for a second, willing her nerves to calm, while Meri's fingers dig into her lap, her knuckles white. The witness then drops a bombshell, an allegation directly implicating Kody in decisions that have favored one wife over the others, which has caused simmering tension and resentment through the years. In an instant, the courtroom reacts. Murmurs begin to ripple through the gallery. Even the judge leans forward, eyes narrowing. Kody opens his mouth to respond but hesitates, unsure how to navigate the sudden storm of accusations. The cross-examination is vicious. Christine's lawyer claws at every word to try and tear down the witness, characterizing her as biased, unreliable, or ill-informed. But the witness is collected, cool, and steady. Her testimony is deliberate, supported by proof of which little can be questioned. Each document, each date and time-stamped message exchange, each recorded conversation seems another whack against the walls of secrecy Kody and the wives have attempted to preserve. Robyn is called in to explain a few things. Her voice shows some slight quivering, but it is strong in its delivery. She recounts observations she had made, moments she had kept concealed, decisions she had tolerated, and her growing realization that silence could no longer protect the family. Her words are deliberate, calculated, but deeply emotional. Next on the stand is Janelle, her voice quivering as she begins telling stories of private family meetings, conversations with Kody, and then feelings of betrayal when she came to realize not all was as it seemed. The camera captures each twitch of her eyes, lips pressed tightly together and shoulders stiff with tension, as she talks of moments of questioning her loyalty, moments when she wanted to speak up out of fear of fallout. Each word holds an emotional weight that resonates throughout the courtroom. Meri follows, quiet at first, her eyes fixed on the floor. Slowly, she begins to describe what happened, her emotions rising despite the clear effort to remain composed. She recounts instances of fear, confusion, and heartbreak, the human cost of secrets, lies, and hidden agendas. Her voice cracks at times, but every word strikes a blow, exposing the vulnerabilities that everyone in this room had tried to ignore. The tension in the room escalates as Kody's lawyer follows a line of questioning in defense of his client, with each testimony assailed for its credibility. But the witnesses stand their ground, their stories unshaken and damning. Kody's characteristically composed manner falters. His jaw clenches, and his eyes dart between the judge and the witnesses, searching for an opening that quite simply isn't there. Halfway into the session, the judge pauses, reviewing a set of documents Robyn had submitted. There are gasps throughout the room as the contents of those documents are disclosed. Financial records of secret contracts and handwritten notes showing a long pattern of manipulation and favoritism within the family. Christine grows pale. She leans over to whisper something to her lawyer, but her words are lost in the silent tension that follows. Kody drums his fingers nervously against the table, every tap like the ticking countdown towards some kind of emotional explosion. The courtroom gallery holds its collective breath as the judge addresses Kody. "Mr. Brown," he says, voice firm, "are you prepared to explain these documents?" Kody opens his mouth, then closes it. For a moment, the room feels suspended in time. Every heartbeat seems amplified. Robyn leans forward slightly, her voice calm but firm. "Your Honor, this is not about finances," she says. "It's about transparency, trust, and the choices we've all made in secret. The family deserves to know the truth." Christine's shoulders go rigid. "You really think you can rewrite history with this?" she snaps, her eyes ablaze. The judge raises a hand to restore order, but the emotional storm has already been unleashed. Janelle fidgets in her seat, leaning into her attorney about her own involvement in the decisions and wondering how her words will be interpreted. Meri's eyes well up with tears as she privately contended with guilt, loyalty, and fear. It's a tension in the room you could almost feel pressing against your chest. The session takes another dramatic turn when an unexpected witness is called, a former employee who has seen Kody's private decisions firsthand. Their testimony is explosive. They reveal moments of favoritism, moments when certain wives were given more financial leverage, when family decisions were made in secret, and when loyalty was tested in ways the public has never known. Each revelation lands like a bomb, and the room reacts in stunned silence. Kody leans back, hands on his face, trying to process the accusations. Christine sits forward, a mixture of vindication and disbelief on her face. Robyn watches intently, aware of the potential fallout, while Janelle and Meri exchange quick glances, bracing themselves for the storm. The afternoon wears on, and the judge indicates a short break. The family gets up more slowly now, the weight of the afternoon's revelations palpable in the air. Journalists scribble furiously. Cameras flash, and whispers pour out into the hallway outside. Each sister-wife retreats to her corner, reflecting on both what has been revealed and what is yet to come. The afternoon ends with Kody's lawyer insinuating there may be new evidence to turn some of this damaging testimony on its head, but no one knows what it is. Suspense remains thick in the air as the courtroom empties slowly, every person lost to his or her own thoughts. The Brown family has weathered many trials in the past, but this courtroom battle feels different. More personal, more exposing, more dangerous. Behind the last person to leave the courtroom, the doors close, leaving only echoes and tension in their wake. The stage is set for the next session, where emotions boil over, secrets explode, and no one leaves unchanged. The next morning, the courthouse is abuzz with anticipation. Media crews line the entrance, cameras flashing, microphones poised, and reporters murmuring excitedly about yesterday's explosive revelations. Fans gather outside, speculating, whispering, some clutching their notebooks, others recording on their phones. Inside, the courtroom feels different, heavier, more oppressive, as if every shadow in the corners is carrying the weight of secrets yet to be told. Kody sits at the defendant's table, shoulders tense, jaw tight. His usual calm demeanor has worn thin over the past sessions. Robyn is poised, notes in hand, but the subtle tremor in her fingers betrays the anxiety she feels. Christine sits straight-backed, eyes sharp and calculating, lips pressed into a firm line. Janelle and Meri share a glance, a silent acknowledgement that the storm today may be more dangerous than anything they've faced before. The bailiff calls the session to order. The judge enters, robe flowing, with gavel in hand. "Let's proceed," he says, voice firm, commanding silence. The room seemed to sigh collectively, yet the tension remained thick, electric, almost suffocating. First, a witness is called, a former household staff member with intimate familiarity with the family's most private dealings. The gallery leans forward as the witness takes the stand. The slight tremble in his voice gives way to raw courage as he begins to speak. "I have seen what happens behind closed doors, and it's time somebody tells the truth." Christine narrows her eyes. "You're fabricating lies," she cuts in, voice cold, oozing with anger. "Everything I did was for the family." Robyn says nothing, just watches intently, allowing the witness to continue. And then the testimony escalates. Every story told, every detail mentioned, exposes hidden fractures, secret alliances, and decisions kept behind closed doors. The courtroom sits in silent astonishment as favoritism, manipulation, and even betrayal are described in vivid, emotional detail. Kody grows restless in his chair as the witness recounts how certain wives were granted undue advantage in family decisions, how private messages were sent to manipulate an outcome, and how quietly and yet decisively the balance of power was altered over the years. Each revelation lands like a hammer, its echo ringing through the courtroom, shaking the walls that once held secrecy. And then the cross-examination begins. Christine's lawyer attacks every word, every detail, claiming bias and exaggeration on the part of the witness. The witness remains calm, unwavering, presenting corroborative evidence in the form of text messages, emails, and financial records that prove their claims. Every document is shown to the gallery and the judge, leaving very little room for doubt. The tension in the room becomes unbearable. One can almost feel it pushing against every chair, every wall, every person present. Next to testify is Janelle. She stands up slowly, her voice trembling, to reveal times that she wished had never happened. Those moments when she felt judging herself, and at other times had felt manipulated by Kody's decisions. Every word was raw with emotion, as each one sullied the painstakingly constructed facade of control. The gallery watched in rapt attention, with some hunched over and others agog. Her face spoke volumes, darting eyes, pursed lips, and fists clenched in mute frustration. Meri follows, quiet at first, her voice barely audible. She goes on to describe the favoritism and deceptions she had observed, moments she had kept hidden from public view, and how it had affected her emotionally. Her voice catches in her throat, and at times she holds back tears welling up in her eyes, but she presses on, determined to tell the truth. Every word hovers in the room, thick and packed with unspoken meaning, pulsating through the courtroom like a heartbeat of emotional drama. The courtroom crackles with energy as Kody's lawyer attempts to bring attention back to procedural matters, attempting to undermine the testimony of the witnesses. But the witnesses are ready for him, each producing pages of carefully documented proof. Emails, recorded phone calls, financial ledgers, and even photographs are shown. The courtroom murmurs in gasps and wide-eyed wonder. Kody's mask of composure slips. His trembling hand casts a sideways glance at the evidence. Christine leans forward, anger and vindication blazing in her eyes, while Robyn merely looks on calmly, aware of how the tide of the session is slowly changing. The dynamics change dramatically in the middle of the session. The judge examines a series of newly presented documents, handwritten notes, property agreements, and financial statements that reveal actions taken furtively over the years. The room gasps as one. Kody's face whitens. Christine tightens her lips, eyes flicking to the documents. Janelle squirms uncomfortably in her seat with anguish and inner conflict, while Meri stares down at her lap, fighting to hold back tears. Robyn leans slightly forward. Your Honor, these are not just financial documents. They are about trust, choices, and accountability. It is time the truth comes to light. Christine erupts. You think this changes anything? You're rewriting history. Her voice breaks, emotion overflow, filling a room rife with tension. The judge raises his hand, signaling calm, but it's undeniably electric in the room. A new witness is called, a one-time associate of the family business who had been privy to financial and personal decisions. The testimony is explosive. They detail how Kody made decisions behind closed doors, giving advantages to some wives and excluding others, creating a system to control them that had gone unseen by the public eye. Every sentence hits with a punch. Every glance exchanged across the room is loaded. Kody's face tightens as the witness speaks of moments of favoritism, secret deals, and betrayals that he thought would never see the light of day. Christine's hands slightly quiver. Janelle leans back and wrestles silently with her own complicity. Tears glisten in Meri's eyes. Robyn sits quiet but determined, knowing full well the evidence she helped bring forward unravels years of secrecy. The atmosphere in the courtroom is well-nigh insufferable. Gasps, whispered exchanges, and stifled sobs accompany each new revelation. The judge listens intently, sometimes squinting at a document, his face a mask of surprise or concern. He leans back in his chair, steepling his fingers, ready for what seems like the most explosive testimony yet. By late afternoon, tensions have reached a fever pitch. Kody's lawyer struggles to maintain composure, presenting counter-arguments, trying to cast doubt, and navigating the emotional storm. But the witnesses are relentless, each corroborating the other, leaving no room for doubt. The courtroom feels like a pressure cooker. Every word, glance, and expression magnified under the intense scrutiny of the audience, media, and judge alike. The climax of Session 3 arrives when a previously unknown recording is presented, a conversation between Kody and one of the wives, discussing secret arrangements, undisclosed financial decisions, and manipulations that had remained hidden for years. The courtroom is frozen. Kody's eyes widen in shock. Christine's jaw drops. Janelle leans forward in disbelief. Meri covers her mouth in silent horror, and Robyn's calm gaze seems almost predatory, knowing the impact of this recording is devastating. The gavel slams down lightly, restoring a degree of order. "We will recess briefly," he says, his voice commanding, "until we can resume with additional testimony." The courtroom clears slowly, the heavy weight of the session weighing on everyone. Kody retreats to his chair, visibly shaken, talking in a hushed tone with his lawyer. Christine storms down the aisle, angry mutterings spewing from her lips. Robyn and Janelle huddle briefly, exchanging quiet reflections, while Meri sits alone, working her emotions out. Finally, the doors shut behind the last person, leaving only echoes and palpable tension that promises the next session to be the most emotionally charged yet. The Brown family has seen battles, but not like this. Secrets thought buried surface, allegiances are questioned, and the stage is set for revelations to forever redefine the family. The courthouse doors swing open for the fourth session, and the tension inside is palpable. Every seat in the gallery is filled. Cameras line the walls, reporters murmur, and the faint smell of polished wood mixes with the lingering anxiety of past revelations. The Brown family enters the courtroom, each member carrying the weight of the prior sessions like a heavy cloak. Kody's face is tight. His eyes scan the room, hands clenched as he steps toward his table. Robyn walks with deliberate calm, though her fingers clutch her notes tightly. Christine's posture is rigid, jaw tight, a fiery glare warning anyone who dares look her way. Janelle and Meri exchange nervous glances, knowing the afternoon will test them in ways no one expected. The judge enters, gavel in hand, and calls the court to order. The atmosphere tightens like a drawn bowstring. The first witness is called out of the blue. Nobody had expected it is some long-forgotten family confidant whose testimony may turn upside down the entire tale. The witness mounts the bench with steadiness in his voice, charged with emotion. "I have seen things no one else has," he says. "I just can't be silent anymore. The truth has its price, but it needs to be spoken." Christine suddenly responds, her voice sharp and dripping with disbelief. "You're lying. You have never understood our family," she exclaims as her emotions spill over. Robyn leans slightly forward, her eyes steady, allowing the witness to continue. With each word they say, hidden layers of deceit, favoritism, and manipulation are unraveled. The courtroom is enthralled. Silence hangs thick in the air as the witness describes moments that no camera, no public eye has ever seen, moments that show fissures in Kody's control, breaks in trust, and the emotional strain each wife has privately suffered. The testimony becomes increasingly intense. Hidden emails, secret agreements, and private conversations are revealed as evidence. Christine's face reddens, her hands clenching and releasing with nervousness. Kody fidgets in his seat, desperate to retain composure, while his eyes give away his concern. Janelle bites her lip, her heart racing, trying to steady it, while Meri leans back, silently clashing with fear and anticipation. Robyn observes intently, knowing this moment is crucial. Then comes the bombshell. The witness comes forth with documents showing secret decisions that Kody has made, uneven distribution of resources, privileges, and attention among the wives, favoritism and manipulation that have been quietly festering for years now become public. Gasps ripple through the court. Even the judge leans forward, interested and concerned by the unfolding revelations. Kody's attorney tries to do some damage control, pointing to procedural issues, trying to question the credibility of the witness. But this witness is ready, complete with timestamps, photos, and communications, proving his claims. Each new blow lands like a sledgehammer, driving home the fact that the delicate balance within the family has been broken. Next on the stand is Janelle. Her voice is first shaky, but as she relates moments of secrecy and manipulation and personal betrayal, strength rises within her. She tells about incidents when she was excluded from important decisions, when her loyalty was put to the test, and when she realized the consequences of silence were terribly greater than any she would have imagined. Her eyes shine and her lips quiver, her hands pressed tightly together. The courtroom is silent, hanging on every word. Meri follows, quieter but no less powerful. She speaks of her own fears, the moments she felt trapped between loyalty and truth, and the heartbreak of realizing she too had been manipulated in ways she never fully understood. Tears form in her eyes, her voice cracks, but she continues, each sentence a testament to resilience and honesty. The audience can feel emotional strain pressing down on the room. The tension amplifies as Christine is brought back to the stand. Her defiance is palpable. She then attacks the witness statements as biased and exaggerated. Her voice shakes with anger, but the evidence is overwhelming. Emails, financial documents, messages present a picture of secretive actions and covert power plays. The gallery reacts. Gasps and whispers fill the air. Kody's face hardens, his hands clenching into fists. Robyn leans forward slightly, and her calm resolve sharply contrasts with the chaos around her. Then, out of left field, a recording emerges of Kody discussing clandestine arrangements and hidden decisions with one of the wives. The courtroom falls to stunned silence. Kody's eyes widen, and he leans back, for a moment frozen. Christine's jaw drops. Janelle gasps quietly. Meri covers her mouth with her hand. Robyn's gaze sharpens. Every person in the room feels the weight of the evidence, betrayal, and the implications. The judge lightly bangs his gavel for order. "We will briefly recess," he says in a calm tone, laced with underlying authority, "until we can continue with more testimony." The room slowly empties, though the tension remains, tightly coiled, like a spring, ready to snap. Kody withdraws back to his seat, whispering to his attorney, while Christine paces, uttering muttered, angry words. Robyn quietly reviews her notes in preparation for what is next, while Janelle and Meri sit in anxious reflection. After the short recess, another unexpected witness, a former family employee, comes forward to testify about Kody's private interactions and decisions. The testimony is detailed, showing manipulations, secret deals, and the favoring of certain wives over others. Every sentence hits like a blow, every glance exchanged in the room thick with tension and expectation. Kody's usually composed demeanor falters as the witness recounts events that challenge his authority and expose cracks in the family's structure. Christine's face has gone from fury to incredulous. Janelle's fingers dig into her lap, while Meri's eyes glimmer with unshed tears. Robyn wears a calm veneer, but inside she knows the dynamics that keep this family in its delicate balance are being torn apart. The final witness of the day is called forward, a long silent confidant who has never publicly spoken about the family's internal dynamics. Their testimony is explosive in nature: betrayals, favoritism, and decisions made behind closed doors. The courtroom is on edge, and every member of the family is feeling the full weight of exposure. One can practically feel the tension crackling in the air, the emotional storm reaching its peak. Kody's lawyer tries to minimize the damage, but the witness's testimony is supported by irrefutable proof. Emails, recordings, and financial documents are shown, and the gallery and judge are stunned. Christine looks like she's going to faint. Janelle and Meri look at each other, not knowing what to say or do next. Robyn leans forward slightly, taking it all in, knowing it's going to change everything. The session ends on a cliffhanger. The judge says the final set of evidence will be presented in the next session, documents and recordings that promise to reshape the future of the family. Kody exhales sharply, knowing the next day could change everything. Christine utters something under her breath. Robyn takes a deep breath, and Janelle and Meri sit in tense anticipation. The tension and anticipation echoes as the doors shut after the last person. The Brown family has survived turmoil before, but nothing like this courtroom battle. Secrets once buried have come to the surface. Allegiances have been tested, and the stage is set for confessions, emotional breakdowns, and revelations that will leave the audience speechless. A courtroom is filled, and the atmosphere is thick with anticipation. The final session begins, and all present can feel the weight of what's about to unfold. Media people jostle for position. Cameras flash incessantly, and reporters murmur in order not to miss the last moments of this family drama. Kody sits at the defendant's table, shoulders tense, jaw tight. His calm veneer has worn thin after days of testimony and revelations. Robyn sits with a composed exterior, notes in hand, but a subtle tension in her posture betrays the stress of the moment. Christine's eyes are sharp, scanning the courtroom like a hawk, ready to pounce. Janelle and Meri exchange anxious glances. Today may change everything. The judge enters, robes flowing, gavel in hand. "We will proceed," he says, his voice firm and resonant. The room falls silent. Every heartbeat seems amplified, every rustle of paper echoing off the walls like a drumbeat of impending drama. The first witness of the final session is called. A family member not previously disclosed, one who has remained in the shadows, observing for years. Their voice is calm but laced with a weight of conviction. "I've remained silent for far too long," they begin. "But the truth needs to come out. Decisions made behind closed doors have consequences, and it's about time the entire family and the world understands them." Christine immediately responds, her voice sharp, tinged with disbelief and anger. "You don't understand. You're twisting things," she shouts, her emotions spilling over. Robyn leans forward, her expression steady, and allows the witness to continue. With each revelation, deeper layers of manipulation, favoritism, and betrayal unfold. A witness recounts secret meetings, hidden decisions, and covert arrangements that have influenced the family's relationships for years. People gasp around the courtroom as the depth of the secrets is revealed. Kody shifts uncomfortably as the witness presents evidence, handwritten notes, emails, and recordings that corroborate their claims. Each piece of evidence lands like a hammer, breaking down walls of secrecy and exposing the emotional toll of years of concealed actions. Christine flushes red with anger and disbelief. Janelle leans forward, clenching the edge of her chair, while Meri's hands shake in her lap. Robyn watches intently, aware these revelations may change the family dynamics forever. The tension mounts as Kody's lawyer tries to steer the court back to procedural technicalities. But the steady stream of witnesses, with meticulously documented evidence, leaves little room for doubt. Every document, every recorded conversation, every email is a strike against the long-buried secrets that Kody and the wives have kept. The air in this courtroom is electric, each and every person's emotions amplified by the intensity of the moment. Next, Christine is recalled to the stand. She is defiant. She challenges every witness, her voice shaking with anger, fear, and desperation. "You're trying to rewrite history," she bursts out, her eyes aflame. But the evidence is devastating. Financial records, emails, and personal messages reveal decisions in secret, an unseen network of influence and control. Robyn then took the stand. Her voice was quiet, yet commanding. She spoke of instances of loyalty, deceit, and the tough choices she had made to maintain peace while seeking the truth. Her words were laced with emotion, as each sentence spoke of personal struggles and a heart that had broken at watching a family being torn apart by secrecy. She brought up evidence of long-buried conversations, showing a pattern of manipulation and control that had gone unnoticed. This courtroom was enthralled, hanging on every word. Janelle follows, her testimony raw and emotional. She recounts moments when she questioned her own judgment, when fear and uncertainty clouded her decisions, and when she realized that silence could no longer protect the family. Her voice trembles, tears welling in her eyes as she describes the emotional toll of secrecy, manipulation, and hidden favoritism. The gallery is hushed. The weight of her words weighs heavily upon all who are present. Meri then takes the stand, quieter but no less impactful. She speaks of her own experiences of feeling overlooked, manipulated, and left out of key family decisions. Her voice breaks with emotion, yet she continues to describe the heartbreak of realizing the true depth of Kody's actions and the resulting fractures in the family. Each sentence carries a raw honesty that reverberates throughout the courtroom. The last surprise of the session is the revelation of a previously unknown recording, where Kody, in conversation, details secret arrangements and clandestine decisions with one of the wives. The courtroom falls silent. Kody's eyes widen, his hands clench. Christine's jaw drops. Janelle leans forward in utter disbelief, while Meri covers her mouth in silent horror. Robyn's gaze sharpens, knowing that the weight of this evidence is catastrophic. Every soul in the room can feel it. Tension, betrayal, the inevitability of exposure. The judge lightly bangs his gavel down, calling the courtroom back to order. "We will now hear the closing statements," he says, his tone even yet commanding. Kody's lawyer tries to diminish the damage by offering counter-arguments and technical defenses, but the overwhelming evidence has already spoken. The courtroom is focused, anticipation thick in the air. Robyn brings her closing statement with quiet authority. "Your Honor, this is not about money or property, but trust, transparency, and the accountability so long overdue for any family. The truth cannot be swept under the rug anymore." Her voice carries years of pent-up tension in the message that rings deep within all those present. Christine's closing statement is fiery, defensive, and emotional. She attempts to discredit the witnesses, the recordings, and the documents, stating that context and intention matter, but the evidence has already been shown. The gallery is in silence, watching each word, each expression, each micro-reaction. The final piece of evidence is brought forward, a letter by Kody himself, penned years ago, never shared publicly, detailing secret intentions and revealing moments of favoritism and manipulation. The courtroom collectively gasps. Kody looks down, visibly shaken. Christine's expression is a mixture of fury and incredulity. Janelle and Meri exchange silent, stunned glances. Robyn sits with a quiet, controlled intensity, knowing the truth has finally been revealed. The judge reads the letter carefully, to the end, then raises his head. This court is duly cognizant of the gravity of the evidence adduced. All parties have been given ample opportunity to testify, and the court shall deliberate upon the same. His words remain suspended in air, final yet heavy with implication. With the session ending, Kody takes a deep breath as the weight of exposure settles on his shoulders. Christine grumbles something under her breath. Robyn lets out a soft, muted sigh of relief, and Janelle and Meri seem frozen in the intensity of the moment. The journalists emerge from the courtroom, cameras clicking away, as the world waits for the Brown family to come out from this crucible of revelations and raw emotion. It is a slow clearing of the courtroom, the storm cloud of tension holding fast. The Brown family has overcome numerous tests of their will. But this has been a reckoning unlike any other. Secrets have come to the surface. Bonds of loyalty tested, and it will never be as it was. The stage is now set for retrospection, reconciliation, and the long way forward. A journey to keep viewers glued well after the cameras stop running.